Morning Liberty.
Well, what is up, all of our liberty-loving friends? This is another fantastic episode of Good Morning Liberty. My name is Nate Thurston. Across from me is the one and the only suit jacket Charles Chuck Thompson. How's it going today, Chuck? Happy Friday to you.
I'll be honest, I'm still salty about last night's game and the way it ended. I know you didn't watch it, but USA versus Canada hockey.
Yeah.
And I'm still just a little salty about how that ended. And
I think we should invade.
Yeah, possibly.
That's the only way we can make up for it.
We should just make them pay all of our taxes.
Yeah, that's fine.
And then that way we don't have an income tax, but they do, and they'll just pay all of it.
That's not a bad plan. It is Friday, which means it is Dumb Bleep of the week. Holy crap, there's a lot. Charlie, if I were to ask you to guess, and you may guess right, we'll see, how many Dumb Bleep submissions do you think I had to go through to narrow it down to 10 Dumb Bleeps today?
Well, Trump is the 47th president and 45th. I'll go with 47.
Okay, 47. Anyone in the group want to throw in a guess really quick? Someone want to, how many do you think I actually had to go? I counted them up in the live group, the Fed Haters Club submissions, and then I counted up the ones that I had saved under the dumb bookmark on X.
Group is guessing 69.
Okay, 92.
Wow.
I had to go through 92 submissions today to get us down to 10. So
that's a lot.
If your submission's not in there, I'm sorry. But we got to go. That's the thing. We have to go.
That's a lot of dumb.
It was a lot of dumb. A lot of different stuff happened this week.
Gracious.
Yeah. Quite a lot.
Thank you for your time, dedication to.
No problem. That means I opened every single one of them
and investigated it.
Investigated whether or not it was in fact.
Then you had to rank order them.
Compared it to all the other ones while they were all open on my tabs.
Yeah.
And then whittle the list down.
And then you had to check to see what mood you were in.
Yeah, and what I actually felt like talking about, because there's plenty of dumb things that are dumb, and you got to ask yourself, are we going to do a good job talking about that?
We might just have to have a dumb podcast.
Just dumb.
Just all the dumb stuff.
Every single day there's a vote for the dumbest thing of the day, and Friday is that's how we decide.
We don't have to vote.
It's just all dumb. I like the voting part.
Not necessarily a separate podcast, but maybe just a separate episode in the feed.
Yeah, I got you.
Yeah, then we'll be enough.
Dumb Bleep number 1. This is one I alluded to yesterday, I believe. We're going to try and move through pretty quickly because we got no time.
Yeah, that asteroid is coming.
On this Friday. It is coming. This one says, Happy President's Day. I brought this up as how I would define TDS on, I think, yesterday's episode. That is Trump Derangement Syndrome. It says, Happy President's Day. It's a picture of all of the U.S. presidents. And X'd out, we have Donald Trump 2 times. 2-time X'd out President Donald Trump. And why do I use this to define TDS? Well, that is because there are pictured in this post people who literally owned other people. They literally had slaves, okay, probably killed some of them, did terrible stuff to a bunch of them. You know that. There are in here pictured people who imprisoned 100,000 people solely because they were of Japanese ancestry of some sort, and also served 3.5 terms as president at that time as well. I don't have to name. I'm not going to name any names.
And his wife ran the show at the end.
And that's was that true? I thought that was Wilson whose wife was running the show at the end. Did Eleanor run? She's probably run it the whole time.
Probably.
Actually. We also have Woodrow Wilson on here, which probably this person doesn't think Woodrow Wilson was all that bad, but he was. You've got people who started wars that led to the death of millions of people, millions of innocent people around the world. Not just Vietnam, but you got Iraq. You got Iraq 1 and 2, Afghanistan, Syria, Libya, Yemen. How many other countries can I name right now? Probably a lot more. Somalia. Just watch that Surviving Black Hawk Down thing, you know? And the person that got X'd out was Donald Trump. Why?
Somebody who dropped a bomb a couple bombs actually that killed
Yeah.
hundreds of thousands of people
Thank you. Yeah.
instantly.
I forgot about the bombs.
Yeah.
That's how bad the other guys are. Okay.
Yeah. Well, they all dropped bombs. but
Obama would drone strike weddings, killing American citizens without due process. All right, we decided that we could detain American citizens and deny their fundamental rights, and we X'd out Donald Trump. Why?
some of these people tortured human beings
Yes.
like less than 20 years ago.
Some
by
of
the
them
way.
probably actually tortured them themselves.
Yeah.
And they're not X'd out on the list. That is the best way to define TDS. Scientists should use that as an actual tool when they administer this test someday in the future. This is still number one right now. Here's an example. A picture of Barack Obama. It says 8
Whose
years.
birth certificate is questionable.
Questionable. That's the number one scandal for Obama. But we got a picture of Barack Obama. It says 8 years, 0 scandals. Now, maybe it's a troll. I don't know. But I've seen this kind of post several times. There were, in fact, scandals that occurred under the Obama administration. You could say like the IRS targeting controversy where they were specifically going after different
How
groups.
is it a controversy?
I don't know.
Like
It's
this
like
actually-
illegal. Someone should have gone to prison.
This actually happened.
Yeah. Benghazi. We've got Fast and Furious. That's something that
Which
that
is the
happened
most
as well.
one of the most insane things.
Gun running.
We gave guns to the cartels, and then they turned around and killed Border Patrol agents.
Yeah.
Like they killed American citizens, Border Patrol agents, with the guns that we gave them,
Mm-hmm.
so we could try to track them. This is insane.
On here, we also have listed the Solyndra scandal, which always comes up as well. That's $500 million to a company that was friends with some of the right people that the taxpayers ended up paying for. The NSA leaks, that occurred while Obama was president, although he didn't start that.
Mhm.
So let's be fair. Okay, he didn't start that, but that occurred while he was president.
He did
there's
sign the NOAA or whatever it was,
the NDAA.
NDAA.
All right, so Obama had scandals, and that's all a good example of TDS. That's Dumb Bleep number one. We're going to keep moving here. Number two is Donald Trump.
DJ.
You see how that? We
Old
just go from
DJT.
here's TDS for number one to number two is Donald Trump. I mean, come on, conservatives, MAGA people, listen right now. Don't worry, we will be owning the libs for most of this show. It's going to be fine. If you could suffer through the next 2 minutes,
Mhm.
you'll be just fine. I promise you.
Old
Right?
DJT tweets out, "He who saves his country does not violate any law." Now, I don't know what Mussolini book Donald Trump got this out of, but yeah, this isn't it.
It's not factually accurate. The problem is you can't apply this principle on a wide basis. Now, we did discuss this earlier in the week, probably on Monday or something, that objectively you could say someone who is objectively saving their country and protecting people's liberties or giving them back, you could say, well, they're not violating any law. But
What about the Nazis?
But
They were saving Germany.
I know that's where you get AOC.
Exactly.
AOC wants to save America. Bernie wants to save America. All the commies want to save America. All you got to do is chop off the billionaires' heads. It'll be fine. No problem. We're gonna, hop in, loser. We're saving America.
Yeah.
And so you're not violating any laws. So the problem is that principle just does not. It doesn't hold up. All right.
Yeah, them colors don't float
Them colors
when
do
you put them in the
not.
water.
The dog does not run.
Yeah.
Okay, number three, speaking of billionaires. See, we're moving right along right here. Bill Burr's in here again. This was dangerous. There for a second, I thought Bill Burr was based. I was calling him Triple B. He's Triple B rated, based Bill Burr.
That smoke got to him.
He got on that smoke. That's what it was.
Yeah.
But he's got...
How many people are not going to get that?
I don't know. The older ones probably. So we've got a few parts here concerning billionaires. All right. And so here's Bill Burr's comments about billionaires. This is posted out by TMZ.
So this is a tens to hundreds of millionaire Bill Burr
Yeah.
talking about.
Probably
This
tens of millionaire, I would
This
say.
guy doesn't live in a
Decamillionaire.
trailer.
No, he
So-
does not. No, but he earned his money the right way. Okay.
Yeah.
He gets people to voluntarily give him a lot of money and he provides them with a service. And that's that does not relate to people who have billions at all. You can't find a single one. Yeah. All right, let's see what he had to say.
The people that are struggling out there because of these f***ing billionaires, and they got us all arguing liberal and conservative. We got to stop doing that. Like, I am so tired of hearing about people going to bed worried about what's going to happen next week. There is so much fucking money in this country. And there's so much work being done, you know. And if you work a full fucking week at a job, you should be able to pay your fucking rent. You shouldn't have to go out and get a fucking job and still be struggling. It's bad for the country. Because then the kids don't see their parents and they're not getting the upbringing that they need. It's so fucking, these fucking billionaires, they need to be put down. You know, like fucking rabid dogs. They're like rabid with fucking greed and just going out and just dividing everybody.
God. I assume that he's donated all of his earnings.
Yeah. Because he doesn't
it
like
says net worth around 14 to 20 million. I think net worth always kind of underestimates. He's probably north of 20 million. And so
I always wonder how these people can go out and make, like, they do a tour and they make millions and millions of dollars off of the tour. And I'm like, what do they just spend that money immediately afterwards? Like, what are you talking about? They're worth 14 million. He made that last year. What do you mean he's worth 14 million?
One tour,
you know? So yeah. No, I don't know what his exact.
This is why you see all these farewell tours, Nate.
Yeah.
The 10th farewell tour of Elton John.
But on top, he's just so blatantly wrong about this that you see people that are in a bad way in America. And then your next thought is these effing billionaires. Man,
yeah,
you know, to believe that, and I don't know if I'm going to have to explain this to every single individual person. We're going to have to make 70 million videos to respond to people on X about this, but they don't have those billions because they made billions in profit off of their products. Elon Musk was worth billions of dollars before Tesla ever made any money. Someone explain that to me. They weren't losing money because they were paying Elon Musk so much money every single year. They weren't making any, all right? He was worth billions of dollars because he owns a portion of the stock, and millions of investors came together and put their money in that stock because they thought it would go up eventually. And his net worth is just a representation of the value of those pieces of paper called stock. It's not directly tied to the amount of money that the company has raked off in profit from their customers.
But who cares? Let's say it was.
Even if it is, that's fine. Yes.
Yeah, right.
But even this,
who cares if they have billions of dollars in profit if they are providing stuff that people decided to buy?
But
no one is forcing anyone to purchase a Tesla. I'll tell you what, if you look at my driveway right now, there's no Tesla.
There's not a Tesla.
I don't have Starlink.
No, you don't.
I don't. I have literally contributed. Well, we now have, the X verified. What it costs $8 a month. So
it's like $20-something a month.
So we've contributed around $100 to Elon Musk's companies.
Something like that.
One of his companies
that loses money.
Yeah. But
and not because they pay him a bunch of money.
Yeah. It's like, and then, I like Joe Rogan's well on his way to being probably the first comedic billionaire. So what are you going to say?
You don't think there's any other comedian billionaires?
Not comedy is like their shtick.
Huh.
I'm
just wondering. I don't know. I have no clue.
I feel like Joe Rogan would be the closest.
Seinfeld. There you go. Thank you.
Oh, Seinfeld a billionaire?
Oh, yeah. Got to be, right?
Maybe.
Got to be.
It's possible. So you think... So Bill Burr, you think it's Seinfeld's fault? The guy who's in the same industry you are. And that's why people... Now, look, he makes a point, I think, that when people are struggling to pay their rent and they have to work a couple jobs and the kids don't get to see him and it's bad for America, I think a struggling middle class is bad for America. But point your finger in the right direction. It's not billionaires' fault.
It's the people who destroy your money.
Look at Exactly. Look at what Elon Musk is exposing. Look at what people are exposing in the government who fleeces you. And then not only do they fleece you directly, but they fleece you through inflation that causes expenses to go up so much that outpaces wages. And so the middle class is suffering where they do have to go out and get a couple jobs. But it's not because billionaires provided something that people want or need. And then therefore they have accrued a net worth of billions of dollars, or the companies they own stocks in are worth billions of dollars because they provide something that people not only want, but they desperately want, that they're willing to pour their life savings into because they think there's a lot of value there. It's insanity.
The bottom line is that, you own your own stuff. If they do make a lot of money off of it, that's fine. They created the stuff. They set up that company, that business, whatever it is. But the fact of the matter is, the problem is that people will then look at that and say, well, if they weren't scraping so much profit off of these products, then people would be able to get paid more and all that. And that's why I always harp on the fact that their worth is not even from the profit on the products. It's not. It's from stocks. That's what it's from. And if you tried to take that, the value of the stocks would absolutely crash overnight. So they're talking about I don't want to say a fake amount of money, but it's kind of a fake amount of money.
It's literally called not realized.
It's not realized. No.
Yeah.
All right. We got to keep moving, though. And this is still number 3. There's a quote here of AOC saying, billionaires need the working class. The working class does not need billionaires. Brooklyn Dad Defiant says 100% this. F the billionaires.
Okay.
So I said, I forgot to bring this up, but I was pulling it up while you were talking. I said, why doesn't the working class just create their own businesses then? There are no laws against voluntary socialism. You can, if you think that that's the best way of doing things, then gather together with all the workers and create your own worker cooperative. They exist. Those exist in the market. You're allowed to do it. There's no reason.
In fact, there's plenty of co-ops out there. Publix is one of them.
A person responded and said, most workers don't have the financial resources to start businesses, especially in industries dominated by large corporations. And my response was, are you saying they lack the capital?
Are you saying they lack the billionaire?
Yeah, they need the billionaire. They don't need them, but they don't have the money to do this. Oh, okay, someone that has the money to do this comes in.
Yeah.
But you don't need them, but they can't do it because they need them. Yeah, that it doesn't work out.
Yeah, and
All
just
right.
when I think like people are smarter than we give them credit for, then I realize
They're not.
maybe they're not.
Some of them are.
Like
Some of them are not.
It's all feelings. There's no logic. They don't actually, like, they feel something, and I get it. Like, you're like, oh, yeah, I'm angry about this, and here's a quick solution to the problem, and then that's where they stop.
Mm-hmm.
They don't actually follow through with, like, okay, how are we going to accomplish this?
No.
It's like they're, it's like the Russians when they got rid of all the rich kulaks.
Yeah.
And then a bunch
guys.
of people starved to death.
Yeah.
Because they didn't think through the revolution. I think I've seen Josie, the redheaded libertarian, post a lot that they never look at the second part of the revolution and what happens afterwards.
Well, people were talking about the French Revolution
Right.
a lot over the week, and they're like, they never look at the second part.
Right.
Okay. All right. We got to keep going here. We're still number 3. Elizabeth Warren says the Senate just voted on a simple idea. If you make $1 billion in a year, you don't deserve a tax handout. Democrats voted yes. Republicans voted no. Republicans are planning huge tax cuts for the rich because they're not ones who need a break. Working people do. And this is something that is absolutely driving me nuts right now before we move on to number 4. This tax cut that they're talking about is them leaving the tax rate where it currently is right now. They're not talking about cutting the tax rate. They might try and do another capital gains thing or a corporate tax decrease, but they're currently talking about keeping the tax rates that we have right now.
That Trump passed in 2017.
That Trump passed. In what world is keeping the current tax rate a tax cut? Someone tell me.
In wokeism reality.
The world that equals is that somehow before the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, that tax rate, that one was correct. That was the one.
Well, actually, it wasn't enough. They wanted
No,
to
they
increase
wanted
it.
more even then.
Yeah.
Okay. And so anything that they let you keep, they're given to you, basically. I just paraphrased Milton Friedman right there. But anytime they let you keep money, it means they just gave it to you because apparently they own all the money. That's what they think. And it's not the case. But we got to move on to number 4. This is the controversy of the day. I already made it there on Dumb Bleep number 4. Representative Roberto Garcia has published a letter sent to him by, it's Robert Garcia, has published a letter sent to him by Trump's Department of Justice threatening to potentially prosecute him for criticizing Elon Musk. That is a post from No Lie with Brian Tyler Cohen.
It sounds like a lie, Brian.
Yeah, basically everything he posts is a lie, but whatever. That's fine. So,
but the title is No Lie, so, you got to believe him.
moral of the story is this guy, Representative Garcia, was on CNN, and he said something to the... Actually, I've got the video. Let me just show you guys. This video of what he said. Now, listen, I don't think he meant what he said literally, even though
Trump does.
Every time Trump says it, it's literally. They're actual firing squads for Liz Cheney. That's what he actually means.
But this guy, didn't.
This guy, clearly it was metaphorical. Here's what he said.
What I think is really important, and what the American public want, is for us to bring actual weapons to this bar fight. This is an actual fight for democracy, for the future of this country, and it's important to push back on the chairperson.
All right, so the words in question there was that it is the American people want us to bring actual weapons to this bar fight. This is an actual fight for democracy. I've questioned his use of the word actual. Yeah. Now, he didn't say bring literal weapons, I guess. You could say the weapons we're going to bring are going to be like strongly lawful tools that we can use to fight this and not just a bunch of empty words. That is what I assume he means. Okay, I get it. But anyhow, he received a letter. It's strongly worded, very threatening letter from the Department of Justice. Very threatening. They said, at this time, get this, guys, get this. At this time, I respectfully request that
which basically means with all due respect.
Yeah, with all due respect.
Yes.
At this time, I respectfully request that you clarify your comments from February 12th, 2025, during the live CNN interview where you said what we just heard. This sounds to some like a threat to Mr. Musk, an appointed representative of President Donald Trump, who you call a, quote, dick, unquote. And government staff who work for him. Their concerns have led to this inquiry.
Inquiry, prosecution,
that is
same
basically
thing.
A prosecution if I've ever heard of one, okay? So he posts this out and he says, so, if you criticize Elon Musk, Trump's DOJ will send you this letter. Members of Congress must have the right to forcefully oppose the Trump administration. Define force. Here he is again. A new letter. Please clarify your tweet where you said that we needed to forcefully oppose.
Is this an insurrection?
Administration. This guy's just saying the whole thing out loud. In response to lies with Brian Tyler Cohen, Kyle Kulinski retweeted that and said, an illegal immigrant robber baron who stole $20 billion from American taxpayers hijacked the government and is waging a war on free speech.
Talking about Elon Musk.
Yeah, in case you guys didn't know who he was talking about. That's Elon Musk. And they said that that's where Brian Tyler Cohen said that they're threatening to potentially prosecute him for criticizing Elon Musk.
Yep.
I tweeted out, like, all he had to do was respond. It said, I respectfully request that you clarify your comments. Mm-hmm. That was the ask. He could have responded and said, hey, you guys are dumb as F. Clearly this was metaphorical. Obviously it was metaphorical. Thank you. Not respectfully. Goodbye, sir. Have a nice day.
Go F yourself.
Have a terrible day. Go F yourself. P.S. Go F yourself.
Yeah.
And that robber baron, illegal immigrant who stole $20 billion of taxpayers.
He could have said all of that.
He could have said the whole thing.
That would have been fine.
But instead, these people got to be victims. They got to be alarmists. They got to talk about the threat to democracy and fascism and the oligarchy. And so they come out and spin this into a giant problem today. I've seen a heck of a lot of posts about it. But we're going to go ahead and move on to Dumb Bleep number 5. and that is that plane crash. You know, that rollover?
Mm-hmm.
That rollover. Yeah, as you can probably guess, the media, more than one, alluding to the fact that this was a fault of Donald Trump firing people at the FAA, which, by the way, even the CEO of Delta, who owned the plane that crashed, by the way, was like, yeah, it's not that.
It's not.
They didn't fire anyone that's important to safety. Sorry, that's not the problem.
Right.
That's the guy who owns the plane that crashed. Now, he's got every incentive in the world to say, yes, they fired safety
It's
people.
not our
and
fault.
It is not Delta's fault.
Yes.
They fired these people.
Yeah.
But he comes out and says, no, that's not actually it.
I did want to, underscore, to pick up on the conversation you were just having, though, in terms of the recent string of aviation incidents, Tom. This is going to, yet again, raise the concern about FAA staffing, air traffic control staffing. Now, this is a Canadian air traffic control tower, and this is under Canadian authority once it crosses the border. And yet, as you know, there has been this talk about maybe staff cuts at the FAA as a part of President
Trump's. Two things are
Trump's
not related, by the way, but he tied them together by saying "and yet," as if it's like some kind of continuation of the policy that led to this problem. We still don't know what exactly happened, by the way, and to my knowledge, unless someone in the group can tell me otherwise, we still do not know the pilots, whether or not it was pilot error that occurred, or if there was a flap malfunction, or if it was a crosswind, or what exactly happened.
Yeah, we really don't know.
We don't. To my knowledge, if someone in the group has seen otherwise, let us know. Here's Dana Bash.
This is happening against the backdrop of massive cuts across the.
That's how they. Sorry. That is how they frame these things. Like, here is this bad thing that happened, and they say, well, this is happening against the backdrop of something totally unrelated to what happened.
Yes.
But in media speak, they can tie the things together by just framing it that way.
Federal government, including at the FAA. Just going to put some up on the screen. Hundreds of FAA employees have been laid off as part of Elon Musk going through all the federal agencies. And then beyond the FAA, we have 10% of the CDC workforce.
That's enough. You guys get the idea. We don't have to preach this.
10% of the CDC. That really, yeah.
That's a big deal.
In fact, I think COVID flipped that plane over.
It was a pretty big deal. It didn't have a mask. I didn't see a mask.
Yeah,
that was the big
right.
problem. Mehdi Hassan had posted out, "Make American planes crash again." That was pretty dumb. I believe he eventually deleted that because it was dumb, and he was worried about ending up on Dumb Bleep of the Week, is what inside sources told me that was his main concern.
That is.
It didn't work, Mehdi. It did not work. You did make it to Dumb Bleep of the Week, just so you know. Continue with this. We do not know that this is why the plane crashed. We have no clue who the pilots were.
But this is funny.
But it's funny still to talk about. All right. From Wokeness here, the plane that crashed in Toronto was a Delta flight operated by Endeavour Air, a small airline who they say is obsessed with all-female, quote, unmanned flights. That doesn't mean that it's a drone. It means that there's no wieners involved, of course, unless it was a trans woman. Yeah. I bet that would be. I bet that would count. And too bad that person wasn't there to land the plane. You know,
better operating these flights, which means they're safe.
Yeah,
you know,
very safe.
Because men are not safe.
Here's a nice little promo video from Endeavour Air.
Girls, come on!
Oh my
Leave
God,
the safe
that's too much. And let me just turn that down. There we go.
in the world to the men? I don't think so. I don't think so.
Live fast, die young, bad girls do it well. Live fast, die young.
No, we ain't giving no hold. I ain't Romeo and I'll hold. Making a party, chocolate Barbie, waiting.
By the way, that's the bass line from a song called Another One Bites the Dust. So if you're listening, what you're missing right now is just the most lady power you've ever seen. And listen, I'm not saying that this is why the plane crashed at all. What I am going to say is this is dumb. There should be no reason that you just decide that your plane is just going to be unmanned and have an all-female mission today for this unmanned flight.
Let
Why?
the best pilots fly. I don't care. if they got wieners or not.
Don't care.
I don't care. I don't care what they look like. Can you fly a plane? Can you take off and land without it crashing?
This one's too easy. From Endeavor Air, it's a picture of these ladies, and it says, "Buckle up, ladies and gentlemen. Your flight is unmanned today," and they mean that literally.
Right. By the way, it's still dumb. Like that, just having the premise.
Yeah.
Like it's dumb.
It is very. And then, by the way, before we move on to number 6, which we have to very quickly, if you actually look, by the way, there were 5 plane crashes since yesterday when we talked about this. 5. I believe the number was 31 yesterday, or was it 32? I can't remember.
I have to go back and look.
Now 36 in February. January and February of 2025 are current, according to the NTSB, which investigates every single aviation accident that there is. January and February of 2025 are shaping up to be the safest skies that we've ever had in recorded history. That goes to 1982. See, I'll be fair when I say recorded history. According to this database, there were 17 less aviation accidents in January compared to 2024. Did you guys see a news clip about every single engine plane that crashed in 2024? No, because we weren't doing this back then.
But this is because we have all these unmanned flights now. They are safer.
They are. That's it. DEI made the sky safer.
That's right.
We just defeated our own ideas.
Yeah.
Just then. Dang it. I got to cut that part out, right? Okay, number 6, the Doge dividend checks. Unfortunately, guys, this is starting to sound like a real thing that might happen.
Also, MAGA, just like learn to be nuanced, okay?
Yeah.
Send your hate mail to nate@goodmorningliberty.us. He never checks it, so we're not even going to know.
I've given up on email.
Leave us one of those terrible reviews on,
do it.
Apple Podcast. We don't care. We're going to bring you the truth no matter what.
Yeah, someone said that we had no idea what we were talking about.
Right.
Honestly. I've got no idea what that guy's talking about. Here's a video of Elon Musk talking about the Doge dividend.
The bureaucracy.
That's exactly right. Let's talk about these Doge dividend checks that everybody's talking about this week. And I know you tweeted out that you're gonna. Does everybody want like a $5,000 check in the mail? It sounds kind of good, right? And the best part about it would be knowing where it came from. That's $5,000 that you sent them last year.
Totally. It's money that's taken away from things that are destructive to the country, and from organizations that hate you to you. That's awesome.
Okay. I do want to point out that the guy asking the question, whoever the heck this guy is, framed it entirely wrong. He's like, that's money that they took away from you last year, and now it's going to go back to you.
No.
But then Elon Musk turns around and says, actually, he didn't say actually, but it'll be taken away from things that are destructive to the country and instead could go out in the form of a check to you. That's another way of phrasing that answer.
Does it seem, have you talked to
that's like glorious. That's like
it's the best.
The spoils of battle,
I like that. Is there traction on that?
Yeah. So, I talked to the president. He's supportive of that. And so it sounds like, that's something we're going to do.
Yep.
So as we're finding savings, that's going to translate directly to reductions in tax. So.
Yeah.
Well,
you can refer to our previous 2 episodes where we talked about how to. I get it, but
it sounds great.
There's the other option is that if you can take that money and do something else with it, you should take that money and pay it towards the deficit. Pay off a treasury bill. There's a treasury bill that's got a 5% interest rate on it that we're paying for. And take it and pay off the treasury bill.
If you're tired of prices going up, then you will learn to delay gratification.
Yeah.
And be like, man, I would just, I want grocery prices to just stay the same for like a year.
Mm-hmm.
Then you don't want any of this money. You're not like, if you are in the camp where you're like, man, I wish grocery prices would just stay the same, not even go down, just stay the same, then you will be in the camp of refusing a check like this. Because it's going to do is lead to inflation.
Yeah, it will.
We talked about this with the COVID stimmy checks.
Just read CNN. They're right. They said it would lead to inflation this time. All right. You know who's unfortunately right about this subject? Gosh dang it, it's freaking Mike Johnson. Here we go.
The president said that a percentage of Doge savings could maybe go back to the American people in the form of what he called Doge stimulus checks, something like 20%. How would that work?
Well, look, I mean, politically, that would be great for us, you know, you send everybody a check, but really, we have to think of it, I think, in a
That just got everybody's attention, by the way.
I know.
I just saw everybody look up all of a sudden.
I know.
Yep.
But if you think about our core principles, right, fiscal responsibility is what we do as conservatives. That's our brand. And we have a $36 trillion federal debt. We have a giant deficit that we're contending with. I think we need to pay down the credit card, right? That's what I think we need to do.
Mike Johnson, of all people.
Yeah. Not quite as big of a round of applause as when they were talking about sending people $5,000 checks. But he is correct about that. You know who does not agree with this plan is Representative Jasmine Crockett, who has just some great banger quotes in here. Let me tell you, she is a genius.
She loves economics.
She's so good at economics. Here's her talking about this.
Now, President Trump says he likes the idea of giving some of the savings from Doge back to Americans as kind of a dividend. Would you support that?
Listen, he's just telling a lie. He's not the one that had anything to do with the $1,200 refunds that people had during the midst of COVID that was done by a Democratic House and Democratic Senate. Right now, what they're going to do is say, hey, we want to give.
Yeah, he did have something to do with that, but that's not even related, really.
Yeah.
She just, I don't know what she's. Don't worry, she's going to make a point. I promise she's going to make a point. Here we go.
You a refund, but Congress won't let us because they already know that there's just no money for that. The only reason that those refunds came before was because we were living in different times. This was a time in which hopefully we won't ever go through again. We had a once in a lifetime pandemic. The bad part is that I don't know if it's once in a lifetime because we know that Ebola, unfortunately, was detected right here in New York here recently.
What?
And if we continue down this road of getting rid of scientists or deciding that we don't want to rely on experts as it relates to what they're telling us to do, or we don't want to deal with vaccines and medicine in this country, then we may be facing not only our next pandemic, but our next 2, 3, or 4 pandemics because of their incompetence. So no, we are not in the business of giving out money. And honestly, I don't know what $5,000 will do for you.
All right.
I'm lost.
Around, apart from all of that pandemic gobbledygook that just happened in there, because what WTF just happened?
I don't know.
I'm not sure what the heck she was just talking about.
This one wins by default.
Just by default.
Yeah.
On
the count that I don't understand.
On the count that we don't know what she just said.
A word coming out of her mouth.
I love the last line. This was my selling point on sticking it in here. This is from a Democratic, fiscally responsible Congresswoman. Let me tell you guys what, okay? We are not in the business of giving out money. And honestly, I don't know what $5,000 will do for you.
Yeah.
So she's ready to stop giving out money. She's got my vote. If she's done giving out money, that's fine. Something tells me she's not done giving out money. She's worried that this would be a political
win
for Trump and for Doge, and so she has to find a way. Yeah. All right. Anyway, we got to.
Now, what if it was reparations?
What was that? Oh yeah, we got money for that.
Okay.
They're in the business of giving out money. Okay, this one really quick. There's a video here. The caption says, "This is why we need the Department of Education." Oh, I didn't mean to go to Jasmine Crockett on that one. Sorry. Let's go to the mirror. I'm going to set it where my default is not my notes page. There we go. There's a video that went very viral, 47.5 million views. Something we can talk about really fast, but it's someone who's holding a towel up to a mirror and doesn't understand why her friend can see her reflection in the mirror, even though there's a towel blocking her from that direct portion of the mirror. Now, listen, I'm no expert on how mirrors work. They're pure magic, in my opinion. They're not really, but anyhow, here's a funny video that's not really that dumb.
How does the mirror know what I'm doing if I've got it covered?
The mirror is inanimate. It don't know nothing.
How can you see what my head is doing on the other side if I've got this up in front of me?
That was the best mansplain response I've ever heard. I haven't watched the video yet, guys. By the way, I haven't watched it with sound on. How does the mirror know what I'm doing if I haven't covered the mirror's inanimate? It don't know nothing. That's great. That's awesome. This isn't dumb at all.
Is that your reflection?
How does the mirror know what I'm doing on the other side?
The mirror doesn't know what you're doing.
Is it showing what I'm doing on the other side?
I think there's a camera in the mirror.
Can you see me on the other side of this mirror?
I can.
But how can you see it if this thing is up in front of me?
It's called a reflection.
How? I'm covered. How can the mirror show it?
You're covering your part, but I can see on the outside. I can see the other part. So I can see stuff that you can't see.
So is that how the mirror is showing?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Okay, that's
Next up, we'll explain how the Earth is flat.
So, the funniest quote on here. Do you got to go?
Yeah.
The funniest quote on here is, "This is why we need the Department of Education." Now, something tells me she's probably a product of the Department of Education.
Seeming that, yeah.
I would bet you what she went
I'm not
to,
into guessing women's ages.
Yeah, no, but I'm guessing she went to a public school. She went to a school,
backed
maybe
by the full faith and credit of the Department of Education at the time.
Absolutely. And so the idea that we got to keep the Department of Education in order to
produce
fix
more idiots like this
sort of defies itself. And so that's the part of the dumb that we've got right there.
I gotta go. Love you
Charlie's
all.
got to go. He told me you need that's why I've been trying to go fast, not just because we wanted to go fast, but I still have to wrap this up in 14 minutes while he goes and prepares for a very important phone call. Let's talk about segregation. All right, here we go. This is Trevor Noah, just still going around not being funny anywhere he goes, as usual. Here's Trevor Noah, but they're talking about segregation. And
I found myself wondering,
maybe
and this applies to America, and then maybe it'll go to other places in a different way because Finland ties in. Do you think that integration was the right move? Like, and now I'm separating two things because I know in America people are like, well, of course, I mean, there was racism and there was segregation, and I go, yeah, no, I'm separating them. Let's separate someone being oppressed and someone not being able to get a job and someone not being able to get a bank loan. Let's take all of those, the negative things away, because I'll put myself out personally and say, I think whether we're talking about gifted kids who are anomalous, let's say, to the norm, whether we are talking about, and I mean anything that does not fit into a category, I think the part of the reason Finland is able to do it is because, have you been to Finland?
It's very homogeneous.
I've been to Finland. You know who's in Finland? Finnish people. That's it. That's it. And because they're all Finnish, there's an idea of like, no, we all head in the same direction. We all know what our actions mean. And that's a really powerful thing I've learned in communicating with other people. When I'm in a room with anyone where we start to tie together multiple things. So if I'm in a room with black people, already there's like an implicit trust because we know what certain actions, words, and vibes mean. And then you're in a room with another African. Already. This person. Now, even if you shout at me, I know what your shout means. The same way an Italian knows what an Italian shout means.
Yeah.
Right? I know I'm prefacing it with a lot because it's a loaded question.
Yes.
But I would love to know if you think integration was the right solution, maybe, on the other side of, what America, of civil rights.
Yeah. No, I don't. And I don't think it's actually that controversial when, if you understand that segregation and integration weren't the only options. Like within those two options, it may seem like integration is the more progressive. Like, of course, we don't want segregation. But again, when you're being integrated into institutions, into a culture that's a supremacist culture, that's a culture that feeds off of hierarchy, that feeds off of insecurity, anxiety, why are we being...
All right, so I wanted to let it play until the end because that's where some differences come in here. Don't have time to go real hard on this at the moment. First off, I would say, my God, can you imagine a white person making this argument? The exact same words. Can you imagine what would happen if there were a white person making that argument? Second, I would say that forced anything is bad. And so ending forced anything, that includes forced segregation and forced integration, I believe was good. And then I guess to close this out, because I've still got to go through a couple more here. There's a couple good Thomas Sowell books that you should read where he talks about the outcomes from certain all black schools that used to exist in the country and how much better their outcomes actually were for all of those people. Thinking of places like one that was called Dunbar High School. He actually, in his books, he's not making the argument that we need segregation, but he's a guy who looks at data, and he was like, actually, the outcomes were better. Then where it really gets dumb for me is when this person comes in and says, yeah, it would be a good deal because you don't want these people existing in this white supremacist hierarchy, oppressive state that they would have to live in every single day. And that's why segregation would be a good idea or integration was a bad idea. And that's where you come to this idea from a really stupid set of beliefs on top of that. We'll have to spend some more time on that sometime, but I got stuff. We got Ed Markey in here talking about Massachusetts. For number 9, Massachusetts being where revolutions are born. He's up there with a bullhorn, and he's talking about the founders and the revolution. And as you guys know, the founders would totally be on the side of the people that are trying to protect our gigantic executive branch-led bureaucracy that's unaccountable, that's unelected, unaccountable to anyone, and gets to spend whatever their money on whatever dumb stuff that they want to spend it on. That's definitely who they would totally get this revolution that he wants to start.
This is the city of revolutionaries from the American Revolution to create checks and balances in the United States Constitution so that we did not have a dictator, a king, the way those colonists were living under it. And they fought all along Massachusetts Avenue, all coming out, the Minutemen and women, to say no taxation without representation.
You guys remember those Minute Women? Yeah, they were quick.
We want to have a balance. We cannot have a king. The American Revolution started here. The revolution of abolitionism started here. The revolution of the suffragette movement started here. The revolution of same-sex marriage started here. The revolution against civil war in Vietnam started here. The revolution against Donald Trump and Elon Musk, it starts here in Boston.
All right. The revolution against Elon Musk and Donald Trump starts here. That's where the American Revolution was born as well. And of course, they were fighting for the right of the executive agencies, the unelected bureaucrats that just get money funneled to them and then not held accountable really by anyone to just do whatever they want all around the world. And that is the best way to tie in the American revolutionaries. And of course, Donald Trump would be considered a king by these American revolutionaries because he is coming in and trying to get rid of those unconstitutional agencies. I'm sure you guys all get that. Makes complete and total sense. And that's why we'll move on to number 10, Nazis. Let's see here. I saw that I got disconnected for a minute. I think the internet might have kicked off. Let me see here. Am I back? Am I back now? Okay. All right. I saw it went red. I don't know how long it was red, but we've got Steve Bannon doing a Sig Heil out there. We've got a few portions in here for our Nazi segment, which I guess we're going to have to do every single week because there's just Nazis all around.
The only way that they win is we retreat, and we're not going to retreat. We're not going to surrender. We're not going to quit. Fight, fight, fight.
All right. As you can see, he did in fact extend his arm with his hand straight out like this, and then he brought it back to him. The only conclusion I can come to is that he was doing a literal Sig Heil, signifying his allegiance with Nazism and fascism, and his favorite person in the world, who's no longer with us, named Adolf Hitler. And that is honestly the only conclusion I can come to by watching that. There's literally no other way that you could describe it. Except for the fact, like, okay, I was looking at pictures this morning and I didn't bring them in, but I used to play music. I used to be up on a stage up above a crowd. And when I just hit this thing, just, yeah, it's real good. And I stick my hand out like this, like the crowd's below me. And I'm like, yeah, it's because I'm a Nazi. That's the only reason that happened. And then to cap off this entire thing, right now, we've got the idea that the Holocaust, in fact, did occur because of too much free speech. Here we go.
Well, he was standing in a country where free speech was weaponized to conduct a genocide. And he met with the head of a political party that has far-right views and some historic ties to extreme groups. The context of that was changing the tone of it. And you know that the censorship was specifically about the right.
No, I have to disagree with you. Free speech was not used to conduct a genocide. The genocide was conducted by an authoritarian Nazi regime that happened to also be genocidal because they hated Jews and they hated minorities and they hated those that they had a list of people they hated, but primarily the Jews. There was no free speech in Nazi Germany. There was none.
All right, there we go. Okay, guys, it's time because we do have a hard stop today. It's time to get the votes in. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. Number one was the President's Day TDS, Obama, no scandals. Number two, Trump, he who saves his country violates no law. Number three, the billionaires, tax cuts, Bill Burr, that whole thing. Number four, Representative Robert Garcia saying that he is getting threatened with prosecution simply because he criticized Elon Musk. Number five, Trump crashed those planes for sure. Number six, the Doge dividend. Number seven, we need the Department of Education so people can understand finally how mirrors work. Number eight, the resegregation or de-integration comments from Trevor Noah, and then whoever that was that chimed in there at the end. Number nine, the revolution comments from Ed Markey. There were a couple others that were in there that were supposed to get tied in with it, but we just ran out of time. And then number 10, just Nazis everywhere. We've got the free speech led to the Holocaust. Steve Bannon did a sick Heil. And then there was another one as well concerning Trump's parade around Daytona in his car that we didn't get to talk about. So anyway, get your votes in the Dumb Bleep of the Week voting channel. While everyone is voting, let me tell all of the listeners that you should go to joingmail.com and join the Fed Haters Club so you can hang out with us every single day of the week when we want to, and you can throw in your own submissions for Dumb Bleep of the Week, and you can vote for those submissions or for other ones that you think are better. You should also go to GodHatesFeds.com to get yourself a God Hates Feds t-shirt, and you got to find us on all of our social media platforms. Predominantly use X these days. If you actually want to talk to us, then you pretty much just need to tag us on X. I don't believe in email anymore, so find us on X, interact with our posts, get our engagement rate up. If you like it, if you think it's totally stupid, then don't put your name on it by liking it or reposting or whatever, but it's very helpful to get the engagement rate up, and you guys can find this good AM Liberty on X. Let's see who's winning. We got to get more votes in here. There's way less votes than people hanging out right now. Let's get in there and get those votes going, y'all. What else can I tell everyone about? We're going to be at the Libertarian Party, the state convention, Tennessee Libertarian Party state convention in Chattanooga next weekend. I'm going to be moderating a debate between Chair Josiah Baker and someone else whose name I do not know. And then also we're going to be doing a panel on the death of the mainstream media with Clint Russell and maybe some other cool guests as well. So you guys need to come and see us if you're within 12 hours driving distance of Chattanooga. You've got plenty of time to get. Honestly, if you're in California, you got time to drive there right now. I'm telling you about it right now. That gives you plenty of time to get to Chattanooga one way or another. Let's see who wins in the voting channel. I believe going once, going twice, going three times is Trevor Noah. And the integration, segregation comments. That's who the winner is this week, folks. Thank you so much for hanging out. If you enjoyed it, tell a friend, a family member, or a foe that they got to listen to this every single day of the week when they want to, because we do it when we want to. If you do all those things, we'll see you again on Monday. Until then, have a great weekend and a good morning, Liberty.